Hey, what's going on? This is Daniel Gillespie with Upon Arriving, and today I'm going to give you some insight into the super exclusive concierge society known as Les Clefs. First, let me just say that I know I'm not pronouncing this the proper French way. This is just my Texan way of trying to say this very funny looking word, but I'm pronouncing it as Les Clefs. And what this means is the keys of gold in French. And what it is an international network of concierge professionals who are dedicated to providing the absolute best service possible to hotel guests. So this was founded back in 1929 in Paris, and it became international in the 1950s, and now they have over 4,000 members located in 80 different countries and found in over 530 properties. So how do you know that you're dealing with a Les Clefs concierge? And the answer to that is really the bling. So you can always tell you're dealing with a golden key concierge because they have these crossed golden keys on their lapels, usually one on each side, and it's actually pretty hard to miss. But you may actually not have realized that you've seen these concierge in some of your favorite movies. If you think back to Home Alone 2, the concierge at the hotel who was very suspicious of Kevin McAllister, check out a picture of him and you'll see those golden keys. And of course, in the Grand Budapest Hotel movie, which is essentially about Les Clefs, so it's no surprise that you would see them there. So what's so special about Les Clefs? Well, there's a couple of things that really stick out to me, but the biggest thing is the extensive network. Think about the fact that there are 4,000 people out there who are pretty much dedicating their entire life to offering the highest level of service possible. These people are all interconnected within the organization, which encourages friendship among members. So it's not really a competition thing. It's more of a thing of how can we help each other out. And also think about all of the connections that these people have made over the decades. I mean, you have connections with organizations, with businesses, probably governments as well, and not to mention all of the super high profile people that they have dealt with. So, I'm a travel person, so I might be a little bit biased here, but I could see Les Clefs being one of the most influential organizations on the planet just because the connections are probably so deep. Now, the other reason why Les Clefs stands out is the standards, and I actually really love this part. So as you would imagine, the society has a whole lot of different standards that the concierge have to abide by. And some of these are just like things that I just love as an experienced traveler. So first of all, like these people are required to remain poised under like all circumstances. Okay, so these are not the type of hotel staff that you're gonna have like going off on you at the front desk or something. They put a lot of focus on the small details, which is what I love. So if you go and ask them for something, and let's say there's a dress code at a restaurant or hidden booking fees for something, they are going to let you know about those small details that could kind of throw you off later on. They're obviously really big on things like protecting your identity and confidentiality, especially for, high profile people. But one of the things that I like most about them is that they tell their members to never make a promise unless they are positive that they can deliver. And this is big because it's happened to me before. In fact, it happened in Paris at a really nice hotel, the Park Hyatt, where we requested a concierge to arrange a taxi for us that accepted credit cards because that's all we had. And they assured that they would do that. So we get in the taxi and we take off. And next thing I know, the driver, she's asking me for cash and tells me she doesn't accept a credit card. She's like going off on us. She's like crazy, like making a scene. And we have to get out and it's raining and it's just like this whole mess, all because this concierge said, hey, we'll do this for you. And they didn't deliver. So this is actually a big one to me. But the next thing that's actually really big is that they focus on providing recommendations that are not driven by incentives or commissions. So a lot of concierge will recommend a restaurant or a service because they're getting a kickback. And there's nothing wrong with that per se because, sometimes those recommendations are super solid. So it's a kind of a win-win situation for everybody. But the problem is you never know if that's where their motivation lies. But with Les Clefs, you know that if they are giving you a recommendation, it's not because they're getting some kind of kickback. And they actually are, I think, required or at least like strongly recommended to experience whatever they're going to recommend to you. So if you get a restaurant recommendation from a Les Clefs concierge, that person most likely has actually visited that restaurant before, probably on multiple occasions, and has a good array of knowledge of the different dishes and chefs and all of that. The final thing that stands out about Le Clé d'Or is just the service attitude. And from all the interviews I've watched and articles I've read, they just have this mindset that if there's a way to make something possible, they're just going to make it happen. And that's one of the best things that you can have as a traveler whenever you find yourself in a jam. And to give you an idea of just how much pull this society has, there's this one story of a concierge from Le Clé d'Or working in Toronto, and they had a VIP guest coming in from Montreal on a train. So they sent out the concierge to this small town in between the two cities. The idea was that the train was going to stop there and the concierge would hop on board and give that VIP guest a proper greeting. But at the last minute, that train route actually changed, and the VIP was now on an express train that did not stop in that city. So at the very last minute, the concierge got on the phone, worked his connections, and got a hold of the national train service and actually got them to stop that express train at that small town. Now, I'm sure some passengers probably weren't that happy with it, but people don't tend to just have the power to stop a train, especially an express train. So it just really goes to show you the type of influence that this society has, even on, government organizations. Okay, so what hotels actually have Le Clé d'Or concierge? Well, as you would expect, you're going to find these at your more high-end upscale properties. They don't necessarily have to be 5-star hotels. Some 4-star hotels will also have them. But like I mentioned before, you'll find them all across the globe and in the U.S. In the bigger cities is where you typically find them. New York City, LA, San Francisco are going to have plenty. Las Vegas is a pretty big place for Le Clé d'Or concierge. A lot of the resorts there will have them. But as far as like the brands go, I mean, you're talking about like Waldorf, Four Seasons, Park Hyatt, Ritz-Carlton, St. Regis. You may find them at some other properties like the W or Intercontinental. So it's really, going to be your more high-end properties in larger cities where you're typically going to find them. Sometimes you might get lucky and a hotel may have multiple Le Clé d'Or concierge, and if you're super lucky, the entire concierge staff may actually be Le Clé d'Or. So that's something to look out for at some of the nicer properties. Okay, so finally, how do you actually become a member of Le Clé d'Or? So obviously they're not going to just let anybody just come in and join their super exclusive organization. So you have to have at least 5 years of being a full-time lobby level concierge. So you've been dealing with people for half a decade at the very least. And you're also going to need 2 strong recommendations. I believe these have to come from people who are current members of the organization. So that's probably not the easiest thing to get. And then there's this extensive written and oral exam. So I've seen kind of conflicting things on this, but some people say this takes up to like 20 hours to complete, which is essentially like taking the bar exam, which is kind of crazy to me. But what the test is it's a combination of multiple choice, fill in the blank, and short answer questions. And these are going to cover all of the different, relevant areas to the service of a concierge with, travel, food, wine, activities, all of those things. So, they could be tested on knowledge of like a specific, top-rated restaurant or chef, or maybe even have to recall details of like a super decadent dish or something like that. So that's pretty much what's going on with Le Clé d'Or. The next time that you're at a high-end hotel, maybe look around, look for those golden keys, and if you find yourself in a jam, or maybe you just want to see what kind of service they can provide you with, go up and talk to them, and you might be surprised. They might be able to work some serious magic for you.